We are live. Let me tweet out a tweet. I know I'm thralling YouTube here, but okay. Wow. Welcome to the Voice of College Football SEC channel. My name is Zach Ramilius. I am the host of Missouri Postgame Live and Missouri Live every Monday to talk about Mizzou's improbable 21-17 win over the Auburn Tigers. Wow. Lot to talk about, lot to break down here. But I think the first thing we got next week, I think the first thing we got to talk about is 12, Brady Cook. You can judge that kid. Like a lot of Mizzou fans, me especially included, have given that kid a lot of guff. His deep ball's not great. His accuracy is not great. He makes some really goofy decisions. But the cojones on that kid, oh my God. I mean, he was out for 2 quarters of football, came back in when Mizzou, it looked over. It just looked over. Came back in and led them to a victory. He wasn't perfect, but on the gotta have it plays, the 4th down to Luther, the 3rd and 10 to Theo Weiss, he's tough as nails, man. Tough as nails. I've said a lot of, I haven't always been the most positive on Brady Cook. But, man, there's nothing that you can say anymore about him as far as toughness. I mean, he just really happy for the kid and really happy for the Mizzou football team to get a win today. And I don't know what that was, but I think my cat just broke something. I don't know. The defense, I want to give a lot of credit to the defense. That defense came to play. We'll talk about it more here in a second. But there's so many emotions. I went live basically as the game ended because I like getting my immediate reaction. Now I'm sitting here and I'm laying down watching this game. I'm tired and I'm just getting frustrated. Brady Cook goes out in the second drive, and I talked about this last week. The throws to Norfleet last week against UMass, while not important throws, when you look at the macro of a season, maybe got him rolling a little bit. And then he gets hurt because he looked pretty good. There was a throw to Josh Manning. Like, it wasn't a great throw, but he put it where he had to, and Manning made an unbelievable play. By the way, Josh Manning, get that kid more reps. I know Mookie Cooper had the big 78-yard play. Get Manning more reps. But he came back in. First play was a little bit of an underthrow on a basically a slot fade to Luther. He just missed it, hit a receiver, a guy in the helmet, dropped by Mookie, and then he just dropped it in. I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull up stats. just unbelievable. I'm in a stunned silence. I mean, it's hard for me to say I'm at a loss for words because I had resigned the season. And I was posting stuff on Twitter. If you follow me, I was like, all right, man, Dennis Gates, 2 weeks, basketball's here. And, I'm a little excited for this season. I think this is going to be a nice bounce back for Missouri Tiger basketball. And that's when I was resigned, like, okay, it's going to be Drew Pine. And Drew Pine was miserable. I never said there should have been a quarterback switch. I know a lot of people did call for it. But no more talk of that. No more talk of that. What's up, Mizzou Nation? Look, you're about as excited as you can be, Mizzou fans, for a 4-point win over a pretty bad Auburn team, just because of the way it happened. I did not think that was how that game was going to go. I expected Mizzou to win. They're at home. It's homecoming. But with the injury to Pine or the injury to Cook, they just couldn't do anything. Noel's been beat up. Carroll looked okay defensively. They've lost some DNs. We'll get to the defense here in a second, but man, that's just a gutty win by Mizzou. Not a pretty win. You're not, unless you watch that game, you're not going to realize how emotional and gutty it was. But man, what can you do? So Brady Cook, I mean, you look at his stats, he only played a quarter and a half, basically. 11 for 22 for 194. Obviously, at the big 78-yard Mookie Cooper. Take that one away, man, like, it's still a 10 for 21 for 114 yards. And on the big ones he had to have, he got them. Marcus Carroll is looking a lot better. I'm just going through the offense. He's looking much better than he did at the start of the season. He's looking a little bit faster. That's good to see as Mizzou moves forward in the schedule, and if Noel is pretty banged up. Wide receiver, we'll talk about. Let's go ahead and dive into the first half. I don't know what Mizzou's game plan was. Obviously, they had a game plan with Cook, and it involved getting the tight ends involved, and it involved especially Norfleet, and then he went out with an injury. Eventually, he came back. But they did not get Luther Burden the ball in the first half. They just didn't. And I don't understand why you wouldn't get your best player the ball with a backup quarterback. And I know, like, on the SEC broadcast, they showed a lot of, like, okay, this is what they're doing. Like, they're bracketing him. But what teams do to good receivers. But you could give him the ball in a handoff. You can give him the ball on jet sweeps. You can do screens. You can do all these things, and they just didn't do them. They just did not get Luther Burden the ball. All right, I'm talking to a couple friends here. You can't. David Cook is a baller, gamer, tough kid legacy. Yeah, he's a tough kid, and I don't know where to begin with that. I've said my piece on Brady in the first half with Pine. I don't know what the game plan was. Auburn's got a good defense. We talked about this at Missouri Live. They have the ability, especially at edge, to make things happen. And they did. I mean, even when Cook came back in the game, those ends were getting all sorts of pressure. They didn't trust Pine to get the ball, to hold on to the ball for too long because he's not very mobile. I mean, Sante had 2 sacks, McLeod had 2 sacks. Like it's a very good front. Auburn's a good team. Defensively, Mizzou was able to finally pick some things up. Mizzou defensively, I mean, what can you say? I mean, that up front, after losing Darius Smith, the DN spot was very leaky. Very leaky. It was very questionable what they were going to get behind Walker and Zion Young. I mean, it was Ja'Kai Lang. It was Niwaneri. Eddie Kelly got some snaps. But those two, Walker and Young, came to play today. And it was nice to see because they needed them. They needed them to play today. I thought the back seven, Marvin Burks got burned on the touchdown. Otherwise, I thought he was okay today. It's hard to really judge how good or bad. I mean, Eddie Kelly had 2 tackles for a loss too. How good or bad your corners play against Auburn because they have no passing attack to speak of. Cam Coleman's really talented though. He's not Ryan Williams good, but he's pretty close. He'll be pretty close when they get competent quarterback play, whether that's next year or when he hits the portal or whatever. I thought Dalen Carnell had an excellent football game. He was flying. He made the big hit at the end to separate the ball. Hopefully that kid's okay. That looked like it really, really hurt. And defensively, they took Lambert Smith out of the game. I know Thorne basically short hopped a couple throws, like he was a shortstop in the deep hole to him, but they took him out of the game. Robert Lewis, 4 catches for 39 yards. I don't think, and they did a good job on Jarquez Hunter. 19 carries for 57 yards. The defense was awesome today. They didn't really even let Peyton Thorne get into the run game because he's dangerous. We saw that against Georgia last year when he really gets involved. He's a good athlete. He's not a very good quarterback. He's 17 for 29 for 129 yards and a touchdown, the deep ball to Cam Coleman. No picks, though. So that's an improvement for him. As far as Auburn goes, man, like you look at their schedule, they go to Kentucky. They got to play Diego Pavia. They got to play a 5-1 UL Monroe team that they're tough as nails. They got A&M and they got Bama. Like it's not. This is a little. I'm sure if you're an Auburn fan, this has got to be very disappointing that you were not able to find a way to win that game. Again, from David, being down 14 in the third, finding when you get a break on a missed field goal, then the big play to Mookie. Yeah, and that play was huge because it was 3rd and 10, and Mookie had just dropped a pass. On like a 5-yard out, like a speed out. So for him to get back into it and make that huge play, I thought he was going to get his first touchdown since like 21. I don't think he scored since 2021 against South Carolina. That was huge. And it was really fun to see Mookie make a play like that because he's kind of the guy a lot of people are calling like, okay, why is Josh Manning not getting more snaps? Like, you can probably trade Mookie Cooper out a little bit. And they didn't. They kept Mook in there, and Mook let him play for it today, and he helped. He had a huge. I mean, he only had 2 catches, but when one goes for 78 yards, you win. But back to the defense, I just thought in the run game they did a really good job. They gave up Auburn's not a good team offense, but you gave up 10 points. They missed a field goal, so you let them drive a little bit, and then they missed. You missed 2 field goals, but you missed a field goal, but you only gave up 10 points. Obviously, they got the touchdown on Luther Burden, dropping the punt. We can talk about that. I don't know. Defensively, I thought Mizzou played an excellent football game, did exactly what they had to do. I mean, how many yards did Auburn have in total? 286. That's pretty good, man. That's pretty good. You'll take that. Yeah, and then David again. Thanks, Dave, for being here. A little foot. Does seem like every game there's one blown cap coverage. Yeah, and a lot of the times it's been Marvin Burks. A couple times it's been Pride. I think Norwood got cooked on one against A&M. I don't remember A&M all that well, to be honest with you. I do remember other games, just not that one. But it's been Marvin Burks a lot. So he needs to get better. He's a really talented kid, only a sophomore. So then going to special teams, this is probably going to be our most fun conversation. So coming into the game, Mizzou had kicked 19 field goals. Now you've kicked 22 field goals in 7 games. Blake Craig has a good leg, but he's a freshman and he's young, man. Like he's not consistent yet. He'll trust me, when he's a senior or whatever, he'll have the leg to hit 50 yarders all day. When he gains a little bit more consistency and a little bit more rhythm, man, like Drinkwitz has done this a lot where, because even last year when Mevis hit the 60-yarder, Mevis still had some troubles, short yardage field goals. And Eli played it like he had freaking Justin Tucker back there, and he's doing it again. 22 field goals in 7 games is too many damn field goals. That's too many. You got to be able to finish drives. And now you're getting into a point now where now the pressure's on. Now there's a path to the playoff here. Bama doesn't look that good. We'll see how they do it against Tennessee today. I wouldn't put money on Mizzou going into Alabama and winning that game, obviously. But Bama's beatable. Oklahoma stinks. They've just missed. They've so many injuries out wide. Their offensive line is worse than they thought it would be. They stink. Mississippi State stinks. Arkansas, they're pretty okay. We'll see Arkansas tonight against LSU. I'm actually a little intrigued by them. They might, if any team could play spoiler, if Mizzou beats Bama, for instance, and this is all hypothetical, I could see Arkansas playing spoiler. That's a really good team. Pittman's got them playing well, and Taylor Green provides some real interesting looks from the quarterback position. I couldn't think of some interesting things he can do because he's huge. He can run, and sometimes when he's on throwing, it's really, really nice, and sometimes he's just super off. So, but we'll get to that game in a month. As far as today, not a complete performance, but and then special teams. And then special team, Burden's got to stop returning punts, man, because he's not good at it. When he was at high school, he would just let it bounce and run because he was such a huge athlete. He stinks, man, at returning punts. Sorry, I'm putting the Tennessee Bama game on. He's just never been good at it. And I don't know why they keep doing it, because against good teams, the best thing that could happen is a fair catch, and the worst thing that could happen is he gets hurt. So I'm just not a huge fan of it. But, they're probably going to keep doing it. Put Daniel Blood back there, whatever. Put Josh Manning back there. Give Manning some reps. He's a big body. He can do some things. But I enjoy watching Luther Burden play football. I just stop having him return punts. Mizzou special teams outside of Mevis last year always seemed to be really just not good, which is interesting because they were so good for so long. They weren't Iowa, but they were pretty productive. So, We'll see from here on out what they do special teams wise. It just has to be better though, especially when you OU's defense is good enough where I know South Carolina blew them out, but South Carolina basically got 3 free scores. OU's defense is really, really good. I don't know. I don't think you need to have Luther Burden back there anymore. Like, nothing positive will happen with Luther Burden returning punts. Now, on the flip side, Luther Burden with the ball in his hands, do that more. I don't understand in the first half why he didn't get a touch until the very end of the half. And the weirder than that, it was like the first 2 touches were on a drive where it was like, you're not even trying to score. Because they weren't. It was the end of the half. There was like a minute left. They're at their own 30. Why would you try? You're not trying to score with Drew Pine. More likely it's going to be picked and Auburn's going to get a field goal. And they threw like a little 5-yard speed out, and they got it to him on a reverse. And I'm like, is he hurt? And if he's hurt and he only has so many touches in him, why are these the touches he's getting? I don't know. The first half from Kirby Moore. And Kirby Moore, we're going to have a conversation about him soon. We're going to have a real conversation about him soon, because last year was great, obviously. But this year, he's been very so-so. And in big games, he hasn't been good. Like, Cook bailed him out. And I think their talent level on offense bailed him out. But that's not going to help again. You need to scheme some stuff up, and we'll see. I mean, Burden in the second half got plenty of touches. The 4th and 5, I think it was 4th and 5 to Burden, and he was basically just running a man beater crosser. I don't know how he got that wide open, but that's just, and it was a really nice throw by Cook across his body, throwing to his left, which he's not always great at. And he just made a throw, and Burden beat the coverage. As the play after, Burden tried to. He does a thing where Luther's such a good athlete where he thinks he can do anything, and he can. He broke a tackle, and he tried to like make a move and get to the outside. He lost a couple yards, so it turned 4th and 3 to like 4th and 5, 4th and 6. I would rather him doing those kinds of things because it means he has the ball, and against someone important, he's going to make a guy miss and take that for a bigger first down. I'm looking like Nicole Kidman in that AMC commercial right now. Excuse me. But for Mizzou, man, full credit to Corey Batoon in that defense. Very easily, they could have Cook's out. Offense looks like crap. Let's stop playing. And they didn't. They played really, really hard. And they kept them in the game enough where Brady Cook came back in and led them to the comeback of the year, hopefully, for the Missouri Tigers. And because if Mizzou had lost this one, you really were looking at a chance of like 7-5. And you still might be looking at 8-4. You know, I'm being super positive. Those who have been here with me before know I'm not always the most positive. But I think you have to be positive coming out of that game. That's an emotional win. That's a big win over a team you've never beaten before. I think last week I said they hadn't beaten Mississippi State or Auburn. Obviously never beaten Bama either, but too realistic. I mean, they got a chance next week. You never know. But they finally got Auburn since being in the SEC. An ugly game. I mean, everyone was kind of joking. It was 3-3 at half. Just an ugly football game at first. But in the fourth quarter, Mizzou did exactly what it needed to do. 15 fourth quarter points to get the win. And I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good about that one. I feel better after this game than I did after last week. That's a kind of win that can get some momentum going. Now, we'll see. It's up to them because the University of Missouri, if there's anything they like doing, it's having a ton of momentum and immediately blowing it. Nothing more than that school loves doing than that. Whether it's football or basketball, they love doing it. So, we'll see. I mean, the only issue I think the Auburn offense gave Mizzou was they sometimes went into a diamond backfield. Or full house backfield, excuse me. And they would give it to like Jeremiah Cobb, Malcolm Simmons, or even Hunter. And I think in those situations they gave him some problems. I don't know why Auburn didn't go to it more. But the other thing Mizzou did really well is they limited explosives. Jarquez Hunter long of 14. Now, I would like the Missouri defense to be a little more aggressive, but in a game like this where points are going to be limited, the stay it back and play red zone roulette I didn't hate, and it obviously worked out. They gave up 10 points on defense. Burton had the drop punt that led to the other touchdown. If you weren't watching, which if you weren't, I'm sure you saw that score and were like, what in the hell is going on in Columbia? I mean, shoot, the offense was the most explosive the offense has been all year in that fourth quarter, outside of UMass. So that doesn't count. So Mizzou's 2-1 in the SEC. They're 6-1 overall. Their season is not over. Even if they lose next week, if they don't get killed, the season's not over. And a lot to play for. I'm super excited for it. Hopefully Nate Noel is a little bit healthy. You saw on the one big run he had, the 15-yarder. He's got some just extra juice that Marcus Carroll doesn't have, although Marcus Carroll did look a little bit better today. He had the one big run for 20 yards, but if you do take that away, it's only 7 carries for 20 yards, which is not going to be good enough. And on the flip side, 5 carries for 17 yards from Nate Noel. I'll also say this about Brady Cook, man, show the toughness. On that final drive, he used his legs a couple times. That was the best he's looked at running the football all year. And that was on a gimpy ankle. Jamal Roberts, he got in the end zone for the game-winning score, his second touchdown. That was awesome to see, getting the young guys involved. I'm a little shocked it wasn't Carroll. But, hey, man, Jamal Roberts, I'll give this to, did an excellent job in pass blocking, especially on that final drive. And I think that's probably why he did get the carry, is the Mizzou coaching staff said, hey, let's reward the kid for putting his face mask into linebackers and defensive tackles for the last 15 minutes. Because, obviously you're in passing situations. Give it to the kid. Full credit to Jamal Roberts. He's doing a lot of things that Mizzou coaches like. Next year, there's going to be opportunity at running back between him, Tavares Jones, Lacey. Oh, I did not see oh, no, he did get a carry for 1 year. I missed that. How did I miss that? But full credit to Jamal Roberts. Full credit to this team, man. I mean, it's little things in games that Mizzou does that tends to blow it. Like on Drew Pine's first drive, they were moving the ball a little bit. And then on 3rd and 4, they had Jordan Harris, sorry, on a little tight end leak out, and it would have gotten an easy first down. Drop. They just dropped it. He dropped it, and then Mizzou kicks a field goal. If Craig can make one or more of a field goal, it's 24-17. I think the line got down to 3.5, so Mizzou covered. Good teams win, great teams cover. On ESPN, it looked like it was 4.5, but I think somewhere it was at 3. Couldn't tell you where. Man, I don't know. Drew Pine, 21 throws to get to 78 yards. I think this eliminates any talk of any kind of quarterback competition for the University of Missouri. And I also think that this game definitely tells you Mizzou is going into the portal for quarterback. But we can talk about that more on Monday. And obviously we'll have 8 months to talk about it when the season's over. Because, we'll see who they get, and we'll have a month to kind of as they get into the portal. But, man, what a fun football game. What a fun fourth quarter. What a miserable 3 quarters. They kicked 4 field goals today. So that's 23 field goals in 7 games. That's, not good enough. I forgot the one he missed. Forgot the one 56-yarder he missed or whatever. Not good enough. Those need to start being turned into touchdowns. But as far as the season, you're looking macro, far from over. I'm getting an alert from a website. Drinkwitz said Cook went to the hospital for an MRI during the game. I've only got 2.5 games left on Faroe Field. I'm not missing this one in the hospital. I've talked a lot of crap about this kid. I love him, though. He's kind of like the guy. He's the guy I just want to be better. I just want him to be good. And he was good last year. Because how cool of a story would it be, man, if the St. Louis kid, 3-star, horrible first year as a starter, got trashed, booed on his home field, led Mizzou to the playoff. That'd be sick. But 5 games to go. But I thought Norwood had a really nice game. I'm just kind of touching on it as thinking thoughts. Monday, we can go more into this because that was an emotional ride of a game. Norwood, I thought, played a really nice football game. Tristan Newsome looked quick in his recovery, which is nice because Corey Flagg's been awesome. But I think Newsome really provides a little bit more explosiveness. Chuck Hicks was great. Chris McClellan, the whole D-line was great today. Chris McClellan's a monster, maybe the best transfer portal pickup they had. Toriana Pride had a couple breakups. I think this might have been their best defensive performance of the year, considering you were playing an SEC team. I know Auburn stinks. I know. But it's still an SEC team. You defended them super hard. Charleston had knocked Thorne out of the game for a couple weeks. I was like, a couple minutes. I was like, oh man, I did not know Joseph Charleston could hit like that. And good on him. Dalen Carnell might be the team MVP defensively. He's just excellent week in, week out. He's a pro. There's one guy on this defense that I think's a good shot at being a pro and maybe like a top half of the draft. It's Dalen Carnell playing the star. He's long, and that doesn't include like new and Neri, like guys that actually play. He's long. He's athletic. He plays super hard. He's fast. Love him to pieces. Glad he might come back next year because the defense is really young in a lot of spots. Like next year, I'm just looking at the top tacklers. Like Burks can come back, Newsome come back, Zion Young can come back, Carnell can come back, McClellan, Kelly, Johnny Walker, Ja'Kai Lang, Norwood, Sterling Webb, Nick Rodriguez is getting some snaps. I know the coaches really, really like what he's done on third down. And then obviously Neri, the freshman. But it's a young defense. It's getting better. I'm starting to think potentially that last couple, and we'll see next week, but I think they need to fix big plays. But I think on a down-to-down basis, I think this defense is pretty good. I think they had a bad day in A&M, and I don't think the offense helped. So we'll talk more about this Monday. Obviously, you're listening to Missouri Live at the Voice of College Football here on the SEC channel. We do have a voice. We do have a Mizzou channel. It's just kind of we're working out some kinks with it. So we will be here, hopefully as soon as next week. We actually are posting on that channel, not the SEC channel, but subscribe to that channel, subscribe to our SEC channel, like the video. I know it's really been really scatterbrained, but like Drew Pine throwing a football, man, it was just scatter. Never quite knew where it was going. Mizzou does win 21-17. Still got a long day of college football to go. And I know some of you are betting folks. So, I'm not a huge bettor. It's not legal in Missouri, unfortunately. Sure be cool if it was. Alas, they do not let it be illegal. There it is. So take a look at this if you are the betting sort and are watching here at the Voice of College Football Network.
College football is even more exciting with some action on the line. And the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.
Listen to the man. Subscribe to all of his channels. Subscribe to all our stuff. I mean, the Voice of College Football is not going anywhere, folks, and it's just continuing to grow. Please use our Amazon link. That'll be in the description section. Look at, we have some merchandise. I have a notebook that I like using to kind of take notes. Not for Mizzou games, but for some other stuff, just, because I do like to talk. As you guys can clearly tell, I mean, I'm just talking here for 30 minutes with no co-hosts, no nothing. Watch Mark Rogers every morning at 10 p.m. Eastern as the Voice of College Football morning show. He just kind of goes over the week's games, some news, whether it be injuries, players sitting out, because that's now a thing with NIL and the transfer portal. All sorts of stuff. Oh, my God, that is miserable. All sorts of things that happen in the world of college football. Now, Mark goes over it every morning and previews that week's games, reviews the previous week's games. We've got a lot of football coming up on Tuesdays. Some action's getting going. CUSA action getting going. It's a lot of fun. Unlike the first half, or unlike the first 3 quarters of this football game. But you could feel the energy in that stadium, which Mizzou crowd today, 11 a.m. kick for homecoming, I understand, but that was a really disappointing crowd. An 11 a.m. kick for homecoming, not a great crowd today. And you could feel the energy deflate after Cook got hurt. And then when he came back in, the energy picked back up. So, but we've got 2 games left at Faroe, guys. We got to be loud and proud. Unfortunately, I can't be at any games this year because I don't make $1 bajillion to spend for the OU tickets. I did the Bama show for so long. I'm still going to watch a lot of Bama games. This is obviously a big one. I think that's all I have to cover today. If anybody has any questions while we kind of wrap things up or any thoughts about this game, you can catch me live Monday, 7 o'clock Central for Missouri Live. You catch it right here. Missouri Live, 7 p.m. Central Time. We'll talk a little bit more about the Auburn game when I've had real time and real days to just kind of think about things, think more about what is a Brady Cook legacy game, guys. Like the kid, when you go back to the Mizzou quarterbacks in my lifetime, you have Chase. You went from Chase Daniel to Blaine Gabbert to James Franklin to Matty Mock to Drew Lock. And then 3 years of, it was like Kelly Bryant and then Sean Robinson and then Connor Bazelak. And now you have Brady Cook. So Brady Cook's obviously in the conversations with like Locke, Franklin, Gabbert, Mock. He's better than Mock. God bless Matty Mock. But Chase is obviously number 1. Where does Cook rank for you if you're a Mizzou fan between Franklin, who I think is maybe the most underrated player in Mizzou history, Franklin, Gabbert, Locke? I guess that's it. Those 3. Like, where does he rank in there? I think I might be 3rd. I think Franklin's probably number 2. Blaine obviously had the NBA or the NFL. He was an NFL draft pick, but I think just in terms of college, but he was always more of like a projectable NFL guy. I don't know why I keep saying NBA. He wasn't really like he was good in college, obviously, Mizzou to a 10-win season. But I think Cook, man, he might be better. He might be number 3 behind Franklin, who I adored. So, but Mizzou, 6-1. 6-1. I know it can be easy to be angry, as I was, but enjoy it. Mizzou isn't always bowl eligible before we hit November. Before we hit like Halloween and then the week before Halloween, So MIZZOU, go Tigers. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys Monday.